All right, everybody. How y'all doing? Welcome everyone to Motivating Community Voice. I'm here with 4 people, but y'all only gonna see 1, 2, and 3 because 1 is in the back of the other 3. So y'all won't be asking who is that talking. Courtney Vance, Miss Renee Watson, Miss Lisa Simpson, and respectfully, Mr. Cotton. So y'all won't be, asking questions. Why did I introduce y'all this way? Just want y'all to know I don't really know Mr. Cotton, but I'm gonna get to know him today. I know he's a father, and from the looks of things, he seemed like he's a great father, right, Mr. Cotton?
Oh yeah, no doubt. At least I think I am.
Yeah. My first 2 fathers on the show, my first 2 males. Look at God, look at God, look at God. See what y'all gotta say now, mothers. So today's topic is Superdads. All right. But before we go into the discussions, I'm gonna go ahead and let each person introduce themselves if they feel comfortable doing it. If not, I'll go ahead and introduce you the way that I want to do it. All right.
No, that's okay.
All right. So let's start with Courtney since he opened his mouth first.
Well,
Mr.
My name is Courtney Vance. Born and raised in Ford Heights, Illinois. 44 years old. Father of 3 boys. 2 brothers, 1 deceased, 4 sisters. Aunts and uncles, host of them. Father's side had about 18 siblings, and mother's side had about 18 siblings as well. So come from a real big family.
Cool. Next.
Okay, my name is Aaron Cotton, 56. I have 2 sons, few other non-biological children. I say about 7. That's about the most I can count off the top of my head. Believe it or not, they're all girls.
Oh man, I gotta give you a boo because that's like that's sight. That boy, you gotta have a strong mind. We'll get to that though. But go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt.
What can I say?
Having a heart attack.
I'm retired city worker. Father's deceased. I had 7 uncles on my father's side and 2 on my mother's side, and that's about it. Just living the dream.
Okay, cool. The Black father dream, not the American dream. The Black father dream. All right.
Grew up in Chicago. Been here all my life. Been in the military, and I'm back.
Okay.
All in one piece.
And he represented the United States. All right. Here we go with the boos. Let me get those ready. Go ahead, Miss Lisa.
Lisa Simpson, my age has nothing to do with it.
Ooh, women a trip, boy. Okay, go ahead. It don't have nothing to do with it.
Originally from Los Angeles, California, South Central. Moved here almost 21 years ago. 1 brother. My mom's side, I had 2 uncles, and on my dad's side, I had 3.
Okay.
But I had other male influences through my life. So worked for the state of Illinois, and
you're breaking up. I can't hardly hear you.
Huh?
You were breaking up. I couldn't hardly hear you, but now I can.
Okay. No, just said I worked for the state of Illinois and just living life.
Okay. Miss Lisa Simpson. Miss Watson.
Hi, I'm Renee Watson, and I have 7 siblings on my mom's side and about 7 on my dad's side.
Wait, you said 7 on your mom's side, 7 on your dad's side?
Mm-hmm.
That's 14.
Mm-hmm.
Whew. Go ahead.
And what else you guys want to know? Not telling my age.
She's
Marcus, hush your mouth.
Did she throw a middle finger up on TV?
Oh.
Was that a middle finger?
Oh, yeah, right.
She did it again. Go ahead.
I did not. I'm from all over.
Rep where you from now?
All over. I say something everywhere.
We're gonna do this again.
I'm being honest.
Okay.
Everywhere.
I'm gonna come back to you. My name is Marcus Coleman. I'm from Ford Heights, Illinois, East Chicago Heights.
Oh, you gotta be young. Remember
Keep going. Where you from?
I'm from everywhere.
Wow.
She's wanted.
Ford Heights. Ford Heights. Y'all remember who repped y'all and who didn't? You're from Ford Heights, all right? Right outside this window. You remember?
Yeah. University Park, Calumet City, City. I say something everywhere.
I think F come before you, but don't worry about it. We'll leave it alone though.
Okay.
I'm Marcus Coleman. I'm gonna probably delete this part. I'm Marcus Coleman. I'm that age, and I'm the father of 5 girls and 1 boy. I have three grandchildren, and they're all under the ages of 5. And that's all y'all need to know about me. And everybody on
Marcus,
here I have a connection with. Courtney, I'm gonna mute you. Where you at? Let me see.
No, you ain't getting away with not telling your age, okay?
I said
that age.
That's the age. Shoot, I'm 24. All right, so getting into the show.
The lies we tell.
Superdads. All right, I got a couple of them on here. I wish y'all could see the other one because this is my best friend from, I ain't gonna say pre-K. He went to pre-K. I didn't. I went to kindergarten, straight to kindergarten. That's why I'm so slow. And he went to pre-K. That's why he's so smart. But anyway, we were friends from that year.
Yeah, way back when.
Right. Walking to the store to get milk for our mama. All right. But anyway, and that's it. Let's go into the show because I feel all sentimental. All right. So introduction. We got that out the way. If a father came up to you and said, "Hey, how can I be a great dad?" What would be y'all responses? Like I would love to hear it from the female point of view too, because it do make a difference. How can I be a great dad?
I want to say that it's starting believing in yourself first. You got to know yourself, number one. Number two, I want to say you have to believe in God as well as you have to know how to lead as well as follow.
Right.
Taking time out to listen to your children as well as them listening to you. You have to spend quality time with them, give them guidance, good guidance.
This is true.
That's most important of all, because you got to give them a good example of what life is about.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't be drinking 40s and smoking weed with them,
Preach.
You got to be able to spend quality time with them and show them the right way of doing things. If your funds is low, you can play catch, go to the park, go to McDonald's, get an ice cream, get a burger. It's you don't have to always go somewhere where you spending $40 to $50 for one meal. It's the quality time that takes precedence everything, because when they turn 15, 16, they hear you, but they not listening.
That's true. This is true.
That's one of the biggest problems, but you have to try to reel them back in every once in a while. If it's grabbing them in the chest or just grabbing them by the neck, grabbing them by the ear. Mm-hmm. Discipline is important. It's not necessarily using a belt, but it's just firm conversation.
Right. Lessons, teaching, educating. Yep. That's
right.
True.
I tell people all the time that when the Bible says spare the rod, spoil the child, they always want to think about it as giving a kid a spanking, but it's not necessarily a spanking.
Right.
You can talk to a child and use your mouth as a rod to talk to them and discipline them that way. It's not always a spanking that they need. Some of them just need to be talked to. I know with my 3 boys, sometimes they need a spanking and sometimes they just need to be spoken to. Now, I don't know, being a great dad for me was sacrificing the same amount of time that I gave to my job and the time I sacrificed to my job, you know, I transfer that over to my children as well. You know what I'm saying? The same time I give to my job and everything I give to my kids, I at least try to, you know, and I try not to, I tell them all the time, you didn't come with a manual. You know what I'm saying? When you came out of your mom, you didn't come with an instruction manual. Right. So I take the time to try and deal with them, not out of my own heart, but out of the heart of God. So I ask God to when it's time to discipline them. And sometimes, you know, if they do something wrong, it'll take me probably a day to do something because I want to pray and ask God, what do I do? Because I don't want to turn the child away from me. You know what I'm saying? Right. So I deal with them with the heart of God, then with my own heart, because, you know, when you deal with your own heart, you be like, boy, I'll punch you clean down the stairs. You know what I'm saying?
The same way you was taught. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. The way you were taught.
Yep.
You know.
Hey,
but then when you deal with the heart of God, it takes time. You have to be patient and long suffering and wait for the answer to see how to deal with them. You know.
That's true. That's true. I want to touch on it, but I'm gonna let the ladies go first.
You gotta speak. You gotta say,
hey, age before age. I don't know. That's whoever the youngest. Speak first. Oh, y'all terrible. Okay.
I'll go.
Miss Simpson, you go first.
I guess for fathers, patience definitely is the key thing. But I think the biggest thing is that fathers need to continue the generational curses to break them. I think what makes a great father is to pray as a leader with your family.
Okay.
Not just pray over them, but pray with them.
Right.
Because when they see that you're praying with them as a family, that carries over when they have children. I think another thing that makes a father great is when they teach their children about emotions. That it's okay to cry. It's okay to be sensitive. It's okay to be vulnerable at times. I think sometimes that's a hard thing for fathers to teach their children because it's something that's that generation that they've learned through the past. Right. So I think that's why we have a lot of issues with young boys becoming young men and they don't know how to handle their emotions. And so they find other options of, having anger built up. Sometimes some of that turns into domestic violence, just not being able to talk things out. And then that relationship, I think the biggest thing is that the relationship that you have as a father with your mother, and if you're married or if you have a relationship with that mother of your child, to have a good relationship with that woman. Because I think when you have that carries over for your child to become a man and become a better person. And so that's why I said a generational curse. Keep it going, and then you break it, and then you move forward in a positive way.
Wow. Okay, I'm holding back, y'all. I'm holding back. Go ahead, Renee. You got a lot to say differently from what they just said, because they just did the whole show in that alone. Hello? You froze?
Could you hear me?
Yeah, you just moved your lips.
I couldn't hear y'all. That's what I'm trying to say. But
that's
anyway,
good. That's good you didn't hear them, because they had like some stuff.
No, I heard her. I heard them. I couldn't hear what you were saying. That's what I was saying.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
But anyways, I agree with everything you all said. God first.
Yeah.
Emotions show all of that. Another thing I want to add to that is to get to know each individual child of yours. Talk to them.
Yeah.
Know their characters. Um, like talking to them and schooling them, giving them answers to stuff that they may know. Talk to your girls. I had a question for my okay, I have two fathers, one deceased, which was my biological, and then my stepfather who raised me.
And then Frank News.
No.
Go ahead.
But anyway, growing up in the house with my stepfather, he's taught me, and I would ask him questions here, help me with math, just spending that quality time, being that guidance for me. He wouldn't allow us to date and said to us that when we turned 16, we could. Now, this is like when we were probably in the 5th, 6th grade or something like that. So when we got up there in high school and it came that time, I know they fussed at my sister for wearing makeup because that's when they said we could once we turned old, get older. So she got in trouble when she was 16. And I took up for her later on in the day and asked, well, you guys said we can wear makeup when we turn 16. I was 15 at the time. And my stepfather says to me, he was like, no, I don't remember saying that. No, I don't recall that. I said, yeah, you said we can date and that we can wear makeup. And he was like, no, I don't remember that either. So he was like, okay, I might have said the makeup thing, but then he was saying not to date. Right. So I was like, no, you said that. So anyways, he ended up continue to talk to me. And I was like, well, why don't you want us to have a boyfriend or whatever? And, he broke that down to me. He was like, well, a lot of young men tend to date you for one thing, some cases, not all. And then he said, and even if you don't do anything with these young men, if you chose not to date them anymore, some of them will kind of run your name in the dirt. And you hadn't even done anything with them or, really to them or whatever. Right. So he just was trying to protect us from that. So needless to say, get back to my point. It's just get to know your children, talk to them and be that guidance to your children. Get out there, like he said, play, toss the ball and stuff. My stepfather taught me how to throw a football and stuff like that. And, just get to know
so
your.
That's why you know how to throw the football with the residents at work. Okay. Okay.
So yeah, just get to know your children and be there. And that's, both parents, not just, the one.
Okay, I guess I'm the opposite. I'm the example dad because everything that y'all just said, and I mean, I understand the women aren't dads, but they kind of play a role in, that son or that child being raised or whatever a certain way. But as far as the two men, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I get chills. When I get chills going, when y'all hear me say I get chills going down my neck, that means I'm really like feeling that, like emotional. So, Mr. Cotton, I've never heard a black man ever say what you just said. Ever what you just said. And I'm talking just off experience. I've never heard a black man say, God, and being there for your kid. I've never heard him just like speak it that way. And then for Courtney to come behind you, and me and Courtney the same age, so now I really feel bad. What Courtney said was everything that I've just learned, I say probably 7 years ago being a dad, as far as putting God first and, not whooping your kid. I used to tear my kids' butts up. And I regret it? A little bit. But I know I overdid it a lot, but that was the way I was raised. And that goes back to what Lisa just said. Lisa and, well, all y'all pretty much said it. Raise your kids pretty much differently from the way that you were raised, because the things that is not always correct. Your father may have said, hey, I'm gonna beat your ass if you go back out that door. And then when you get older, you say the same thing to your kid. I'm gonna beat your ass if you go back out that door. Do you mean it? Yes, because that's what you were taught. That leading by example, that really sticks out. I tell a lot of people now, a lot of young cats, look, don't raise your kids the way that you were raised. Like it's a lot of negative things that occurred in all of our lives, all 5 of us, our lives, and we seen it, but we never said, hey, well, my dad used to smoke weed in the car, joints in the car and leave the roaches in the car. I'm gonna do the same thing when I get older. No, that's not good. That's when you use that negative and turn it to positive. All right. Now the God thing, because I've never, it was one man in my life that really spoke God into me as far as him being a father, a single dad at a point. He raised all his girls, and that was Reverend Bishop James Moore Sr. This guy, he talked about God, but when it was like a one-on-one fatherhood, he always talked about leading by example, pretty much. You don't want your kids to see you being a whore. You don't want your kids to see you being a drug dealer. You don't want your kids to see that part. Because if you do, you pretty much teaching them and leading them into that path. But when he spoke about God, oh, it was a whole different conversation. He never say, as a father, you should do this. He always say, God said, God this, God that. He ain't never brought his personal with the God conversation. So for you to do what you just did, man, like that's a whole nother level of conversations as far as a man to a man, because the emotional stuff that we deal with, men deal with, we at times we don't express it because what Lisa said, because we weren't taught that. You know, it's like our dads played tough and told us, and if y'all remember this, Mr. Cotton and Courtney, I don't know about Courtney, but they always said, you better not be out there jumping rope. You better not be out there playing with girls. You better not be out there playing no paddle ball. You better not play with dolls, and you better not cry. I don't know if y'all was told that, but I was.
Nah,
I was told that. Like, I was told boys shouldn't wear pink. We talking about the 70s and 80s, you know, but I was told these things. So when I got older, to this day, like my grandson, he used to want to play with dolls, and I'd be like, nah, boy, you don't play with no dolls. You know what I mean? And his mom's like, he can play with dolls, you know, just jokingly saying it, but I wasn't, I don't feel like you should be playing with dolls, because that's how I was raised. And for you and Courtney say what y'all said, like, for real, dog, that's like big ups, because I've never heard Black men say that, Black fathers say that. Like, I've never heard that type of conversation come from any Black man, like, in my life. You know, like, outside of Reverend Mo, because he was a pastor, he spoke it, but it wasn't like, know God first before you become a dad, and this and that, da da da. Everything you do, you have to be led by, you know, what God would say, what God would do. So big ups to y'all, man. And like, that's the whole show right there, what y'all just said, all of y'all. Like, for real.
one of the other things about being a father, especially with sons and daughters, you have to teach them chivalry. I mean, it still exists. I
Yeah.
mean, and it's important because I like today, I'm downtown a lot, about once a week. And I sit there and observe how many guys are actually walking on the inside of the curb versus being on the outside. And I just sit, I mean, I want to say today, for example, I counted at least 30 couples, and I want to say only about 5 men was walking on the outside.
And that's
And you
one
know,
thing. Go ahead.
and
I don't.
then open the door, open the door for women. I mean, the car door going into a location, open the door. I mean, those are things that are important too, because it's one of those things that if you don't teach that, they won't learn it.
Wow.
I mean, I've even taught some women that same thing, and they're like, "Where you get that old Mississippi stuff
Man,
from?" And I'm like,
what?
and they're our age, and I'm like, "You didn't know that?" I'm like, "No, wait a minute, somebody was guiding you the wrong direction."
Wow.
I had one young lady, she actually called her mother on the phone while we were sitting there. Like, you ever heard of that? And the mother was almost embarrassed because she like, girl, where you been?
Right.
You
Wow.
know, and I think that's one of the most important things that a man can teach his daughter, his niece, friends that have daughters, stuff like that. That's one of the on the top of the list.
Hey, I'm about to show y'all
Hey,
something. Go ahead, though. I'm listening.
hey, but I wasn't taught that, but I
Mm,
knew that I didn't want my wife walking near the street.
right. For
And I knew
safety reasons.
yeah, for safety reasons. And I knew I didn't want my children walking near the street for safety reasons. So anytime that we cross the street or whatever, and she's on the street side, I would just
Pull
shove
her to the
push
right.
her over to the other side so I can be on the street side.
Yeah.
You know. And before we get away from this, I want to go back to what you said about the spankings and how you know, you was raised that way with
Right.
the spanking. So when I first had my first two boys, my two oldest ones, because I have three.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the first one I started out like that way. You know what I'm saying? Because of the spankings. You know, that's how they put you in check, give you a spanking. You know what I'm saying? To put the fear and intimidation in you. You know, so to give you a spanking to sit your little nappy head self down.
Right.
Okay. So I started out like that until God spoke through my son and said, "Y'all ain't nothing but bullies." And I didn't hear his voice when he said it. I heard the voice of God. And that's
Mm,
what changed the course for me, because when he said, "Y'all ain't nothing but bullies," that was God speaking to my heart. And I said, you know what? You're right. You know what I'm saying? We're disciplining him, or trying to discipline him the same way we were disciplined. And we got to change that game plan, you know what I'm saying? And discipline him after the heart of God. So that's why I say, you know, you got to discipline your child after the heart of God, not after your
right.
own heart.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's another point that I didn't touch on, but it's pretty much what I was saying. I didn't know that. Like I didn't know. I discipline my kids out of control, anger at times, or just because I want them to know, hey, I'm daddy. You know what I mean? Like you get into that that security side, and you just want people to know, hey, I'm
Sure.
your daddy. You ain't gonna play with me. You ain't gonna talk to me the way that you talk to such and such. You gonna talk to me with respect. You know. So I learned that later in life, but being a young dad, coming into a situation where I had two-step churn. Well, I say churn now. And then having a biological daughter by their mom, it was tough. It was a learning experience for me. It made me who I am now with my, you know, as far as a father, and who I am to my kids now. Now my kids they'll bring it up every now and then, but I do know they respect and they honor, like they love me. You know what I mean? They don't hate me. They don't say, "Dad, I just don't like you." You know, they never said that. They may have expressed it, but they ain't never just came out and showed it as far as the, you know, the hate side or the response from the discipline. They always congratulate me now. And I had to tell them when they did lash out at me that, hey, I'm only thing I could say is I apologize for, you know, not knowing how to be the best dad. I only knew what I knew at the time. That's why I responded the way I responded to things. I didn't know this. This is what I was taught. And now they
And
understand it.
don't get me wrong, my children get spankings, but it has to go to the point where, okay, you knew better, and
Right.
we're at the where you are either trying to be defiant, or you think that you are you forgot, you know what I'm saying, or you above a butt whooping. And
Mm-hmm.
so once it gets to a certain point, then I say to the basement, you know what I'm saying, because you're getting the spanking. And I'll ask them, you know what I'm saying, do you think I'm wrong for this? And they know, and they say, no, you know, you're not wrong for it.
Right.
And when I get through spanking them, I say, I love you, give me a hug and kiss.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And through their whimpering, they give me a hug and kiss, but they know that daddy is not going to play with them. You know what I'm saying? That I mean what I say, but I don't have to um, give them an iron fist all the time. I can probably count on my children. Probably last year, probably got spanked one time because that's all they needed.
Okay.
You know.
What about you, Lisa? You and how was like your experience with your dad? coming up?
Well, my dad died when I was 9, so but remembering the times, um, my dad was firm, but he was still loving.
Hmm.
So I I didn't have like a fear, but I know I couldn't play with him. Um,
You knew how far to go with him.
yeah, and then I just really didn't do that. But I think because I lost him so young, um, you only can remember so far back.
Right.
You know, I remember being, I think I was like preschool. Like there's certain parts of my life I remember my dad would pick us up from preschool, my brother and I, and we would take the bus home. And my dad was kind of a hustler, so we would be on the bus, and he would be doing a 3-car Molly, and we're just like watching. My dad never wore. He always wore slacks, a button-down shirt, and dress shoes.
Hmm.
His pants were creased. I mean, everything was ironed to the T. So I don't ever remember him wearing shorts. I don't ever remember him wearing tennis shoes, any of those things. And he was like the favorite uncle on both sides of the family. He was just loved because he
Hmm.
had that friendly personality, like I said, but he was firm. And even when I talk to my cousins who are much older, we talk about him, they have more memories of him than I do because they enjoyed him a little bit longer. But, we just talked about the things that we can remember. And then every year he would take us to the Hollywood parade, Christmas parade. So there's just like little parts of my life that I remember that he was a great father in that sense. But he wasn't that father that, thinking back, he didn't have like a regular job. He was just out there hustling, but not hustling in a way where I'm just like, okay, he's doing this and doing that. I
Uh-huh.
never knew. I knew he would go to the racetrack
Right.
because he would take us as well, but it wasn't a negative thing in that
Hmm.
sense.
Okay.
Um, I only have like 9 years of having him, but maybe 5 years of remembering a lot of things.
Hmm.
But yeah, he didn't really spank, he didn't spank me. He just didn't have to.
Cause you was a good girl, right?
I'm not just talking about me. I'm talking about just even my cousins.
Oh,
I
okay.
wasn't a good girl, but
Well, that
yeah,
was so, y'all probably was occupied too. Y'all probably had things to do versus what these kids got to do now. These kids, they get led into trouble, so they get spankings. We
yeah.
probably
One thing I
we
do remember, one thing that my father was really against, he did not believe in siblings fighting. That was like that was like death. Like a brother and sister or sister and sister fighting,
mm-hmm.
he hated that. I
Huh.
mean, with a passion.
Mm.
So, I always saw like the good relationship between his siblings, and I mean, I was just pretty blessed the time that I had, on Earth. But yeah, I didn't really get disciplined like that.
Okay. What about you, Renee?
Um,
Excuse me before you start. We are gonna touch back on what we were talking about before I went to Lisa. I don't think I forgot. I'm just trying to stay within the show. But we're gonna go back to that, what you and Courtney was talking about, Mr. Cotton.
um, what was the question again?
How was your relationship with your father when you were younger?
Oh, it was pretty good. Like I said, I can go to him, me with my math homework, talk to him whenever there was a problem, an
Mm-hmm.
issue or something. I needed something understood or whatever, I can talk to him. Although sometimes coming home, we would get in trouble a lot. It was 7 of us in the household. So when somebody did something, nobody knew. So we all had to line up and get a whooping. And
Dang.
I was told that, well, we were told that you might not have did it this time, but I'm getting you some for something you did do and I didn't get you for it. So that's how that went with us.
Wow.
And and that goes to what you say, generational, because I didn't do my children like that. All
Mm-hmm.
I had to do was look at my kids. I didn't whoop
Okay.
my kids a lot at all.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I mean, he was great. Like I said, I can go to him, and I was one of the favorites, I guess you would say, because whenever he would go somewhere, now you ride with me, and we gone.
That's what's up.
So yeah. That's how it was for me.
Okay, we got one more minute in this segment. I know it went quick, didn't it, y'all? I know y'all was like, man, we're gonna be here all day. No, one more minute, y'all. So, I'm gonna ask a quick question to each one. Just answer it with one word. In one word, how would you define father? One word.
Discipline.
Security
Love.
for me. What you say, Courtney?
I said love.
Love. Okay. Lisa.
Patient.
Patience. Patience. Okay.
Patient.
Renee.
Leader.
Leader. Wow. Overall, that's what a father. So that's protection, security, loving. That's me, y'all. Thank y'all. Thank y'all for telling my kids who I am. So I really do appreciate it. So we'll be right back.